Testing, 1, 2, 3, testing.
Live streaming. Okay, thank you. So, any apologies from the floor? No apologies? Okay. Declarations of interest. If you're happy enough, we can take those throughout the meeting.
Sorry, Chair.
What? Go ahead.
Just to say that an apology from Julie Flaherty, but I've actually realised she's not on this committee, so excuse my blonde moment. Thanks.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks.
Okay. Agenda item 3, Strategic Director's Report. I'll hand over to Olga.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. This is the update on the 6th monthly progress report on the business plans for economic development and tourism, arts and culture departments. Members will be aware, as part of our corporate planning process, that we provide to each of the service committees an annual business plan, and then we report back on progress throughout the year as well. So each of the service committees at this time will be receiving departmental business plan updates. Members will see from the report in terms of the progress that's been made and the reviews that are being undertaken to track the implementation of the projects and schemes that are outlined in the business plan as well. So members, the item is for information, and we will take any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Olga. Any questions or comments? If not, we'll move on to agenda item 4, Head of Economic Development Report. and I believe Nicola is zooming in from home. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair, and good evening, members. Item 4.1 is a decision item, as you've said. It's on broadband infrastructure update. And the decision required, it's recommended that members identify issues impacting on broadband provision that will be reported to government departments in terms of digital connectivity.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman, and thanks, Nicola, for the report. And Nicola, is the issues that are impacting on broadband obviously being reported? Is this part of the ongoing broadband rollout that's going on at the minute with Fibrous, or is this another sort of separate broadband sort of provision? Thanks, Chair.
You want to come in there, Nicola?
Absolutely, Chair. Yes, the report highlights all the work that has been done to date through LFFM and the group of councils working together under the Full Fibre Network banner as well. So it's really groups everything together. But I suppose what we're really saying is that, yeah, once this work has been completed, we know that there are still issues out there. We know that there's still issues around a potential digital divide over those areas that have really good access to broadband and those areas that don't, and how that could impact on jobs and on education and quality of life as well. So really we're trying to probably build a head of steam to get a paper together that we have that we're able to stand over and to have the evidence for that we can bring forward. Because we know that there will be another rollout of additional funds around this. So we'll want to get it right and make sure that we capitalise on everything that the borough deserves.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, look, thanks, Chairman, and I think we all are aware of the deficiencies and things within the broadband. But I think, Chairman, I'm happy to propose we accept the recommendation, but I think we would be useful for this committee to get Fibrous in, just to give where they are and in relation, because I know their project is ongoing. I'm interested to see where they are and what areas are currently being serviced within our borough. I think it would be very useful, as Nicola outlines there. And it covers a range from economic to education to all aspects of our working lives. So I'd make that a proposal, Chair, if you take that on board, that we invite Fibrous to come in and give us the Economic Development Committee an update. I'm happy to propose the recommendation. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. They were due to come in tonight, but they cancelled. So we'll get them in at a future meeting. Yeah, okay. Councillor Macaulay.
Yes, thank you, Chair. No, I'm happy enough to second that, and I was keen enough to get them in as well, just to speak to us and hear a few concerns that we have locally as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Okay, so items 4.2, 4.3 and 4.4 are all for information, unless anybody has any questions. No questions, we'll move on. Oh, sorry, Councillor Tinsley.
I can't really see. Chair, just I've forgotten my glasses, so I'm afraid of missing this. It's 4.3, Chair, with regards to employability and skills update. And it's with regards to our own council. And that is, we used to bring young people in on work experience within many departments and to try to increase their employability and to give them work experience. But since COVID, that has ceased and it hasn't recommenced. Now, I've asked on a number of occasions when this is happening and nobody can tell me. So I think, if we're going out to businesses and trying to, improve employability of our young people and the workforce, I think we should be doing as a council, we should be offering a service with regards to that too. So if Olga could take that on board perhaps and raise that with HR. I have raised it on a number of occasions, but I really think that we need to maybe speed it up a wee bit.
Thank you, Councillor Tinsley. Nicola's looking to come in here, Associates.
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, Councillor Tinsley, you're absolutely right. Work experience is a way for people in the community and young people and older people as well to get that experience, but also for us to be able to, have that pipeline of people coming through as well. But it's very timely because I've been at various meetings whereby HR, especially through Lisa Rogan, has been spearheading and working on a work experience policy, but not just a policy delivery as well, saying, look, how can we actually capitalise on that? So I was very heartened to hear that and to be part of it as well. So I can just say from my experience of sitting on that group that Lisa and the HR colleagues are looking forward to the delivery of that very shortly.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Tinsley.
Yes, Chair, and thank you for allowing me to come back in again on that. I just want to welcome that and really appreciate that the work has been developing on that, and look forward to when we can bring our young people and, as Nicola said, all age groups back into the Council for Work Experience, because one of the things was as well, we were lacking in getting some people into some posts, and we thought perhaps if people were in, it was going to be a good tool to let them see what goes on in the council for employment. But I really do welcome that, and thank you for bringing me back, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Tinsley. Councillor Macaulay.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and thanks, Nicola. No, it's just really on 4.4 Christmas events, Nicola. The Relaxed Christmas event, I see now, obviously we've doubled up on those events. Do you know when the advertising of that's going out? I know, so maybe this time last year, tickets maybe were available at this point from that. And I do notice that obviously then it's going to Blairey Community Centre. Is there any reasons for it maybe being moved from the established venue that we did have? I know it was a big success in the Millennium Court in Portadown, and I would have maybe concerns of taking it out of the town centre, but maybe there is a rationale, maybe you can explain on that. But I know there's different parents have been on with me, and Councillor Flaherty had raised this with me as well, just to see about the times that the tickets are actually going on sale, because there are a number of parents getting in touch already, because I know it was such a popular event. On the back of really what the obviously we've doubled up this year, and there's been a wee bit more funding towards that. Is there much, can you give us an indication then how many children are actually factored in on that, and compared to sort of the previous years as well, and really when obviously the bookings open? I think that's all I really had on that one. It was just a few questions. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Nicola, would you like to come in?
Yes, I'll come in on that one. Yes, the times when tickets are on sale, I can see them in mind, but I would rather just wait and email it to you and to all members as well, just to make sure I have all the details right. But it is coming up very, very soon. With regard to Millennium Court and Blairey Business Centre, it was all down to the procurement process that we went through and selecting on the basis of our financial regulations the best delivery mechanism. But certainly I can talk to you offline about that. It's just there may be commercially sensitive issues around it as well. And I think that was it. Have I answered all your queries, Councillor Macaulay?
Yes, actually, no, just one thing. Thank you, Nicola. It was actually the capacity. What sort of capacity do we have? How many children are actually being factored in the extended programme?
Absolutely. I'm going to have to just go and check that information, but we deal with it in family groups, I suppose. But I need to just double check the information before I let it go, just to make sure that I'm getting my facts right. So I'll come back to you afterwards on that as well.
Okay, yeah, thank you. No, it's just really to see, because obviously, it's great that it is such a popular programme, and the fact that it has been extended out, it would be just good to see as many families getting involved as possible, because I do know it was oversubscribed in previous years. So that's okay. Sure, we'll speak later. Thank you, Nicola.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Councillor Tinsley.
Chair, I wasn't sure if Councillor McElrath was online or not, but under 4.4, I just wanted to raise about the Christmas events. And I just wanted to clarify if someone had gone back to Councillor McElrath with regards to Armagh. I know we had raised it at the workshop. I'd raised it on his behalf at the workshop and asked somebody to go back to him to clarify with regards to Christmas tree there. And I thought maybe if he was on tonight, he would have raised it, but he's obviously maybe dropped off here at the minute. So just on his behalf, I just wanted to raise that. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor McElrath is on.
Oh, very good.
If he wants to come in. But Nicola, in the meantime, do you want to say anything on it?
Well, I'm probably just saying what Councillor McElrath is going to say. After the meeting, I phoned Councillor McElrath immediately, because I would have forgotten about it otherwise, and just talked about, exactly what the issue was, and then also passed it on then to our estates team who are dealing with it.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor O'Hanlon.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Nicola, for the report. Can I just pick up a couple of points? First of all, in relation to the Christmas events, and can I thank Julianne and the team for the way they've engaged in the community locally in Katie in relation to upcoming Christmas events, and hopefully that'll be a really worthwhile exercise. In relation to the employability piece, it doesn't actually pick it up in the report, but I suppose it's declaring interest as a member of the Appleby Trust Social Economy Project, in that there are a number of projects, well, all of them across Northern Ireland, but a number in the Borough, who face an uncertain future because of the lack of clarity around funding to replace the EU funds. The UK government had set up funds in relation to levelling up and in relation to other funds that would try and bridge the gap with European funds. However, in relation to England, Scotland and Wales, the devolved administrations there have set out plans and how the funding will go to projects in those regions. The UK government have actually retained control over the future of the fund for Northern Ireland, and they haven't even published a business plan on it. They haven't published a strategy, and it's leaving groups right across the area who provide training for adults with learning disabilities and for those with employability skills under a really uncertain future. And I propose that we write to the Secretary of State and express concerns and ask that the issue is resolved as a matter of urgency, because I think that the sector widely, and I know there are a number of groups across the borough who depend on that, and would ask that we write to the Secretary of State, express our concerns, and ask that certainty is given in relation to funding for that sector going forward.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Yes, we can take that up with the Secretary of State. Do you want to make any comments, Nicola, or are you happy enough for that?
No, I think Councillor O'Hanlon has raised a very, very pertinent and concerning issue, and sort of welcome those comments, and happy to carry through with that decision from committee.
Thank you, Nicola. Do we have a seconder for Councillor Nicholson? Okay, thank you. Okay, if there's no more comments or questions, we'll move on to agenda item 5. Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture report. There's one item for decision. Sorry, Alderman Spears.
Chairman, just want to seek some clarity on the
COVID Recovery Small Settlement Regeneration Programme Business Support Grant. I've read the context of the article here, and I just seek clarity. It does mention a closing date on the 1st of December, which will come on us quite quickly. And it opens on the 9th. And I just seek, what effort are we doing within the three areas, namely Market Hill, Guildford and Rathfriland, to liaise with the property owners, shop owners, in relation to this aspect of that fund? It does mention an important strand of this project. So I assume naturally that there's other strands of it as well. But on this particular one, there is a deadline. And I think we need to be active on the ground. And I know that officers have been in contact with the properties and with businesses. I know Julianne in my area has had quite an engagement ongoing, but just want to follow up on that to see where we are in identifying that money can be spent and spent wisely and make a difference within the areas on that scheme. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. I'll pass over to Nicola.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, you're absolutely right. We have been out engaging, and Councillor O'Hanlon could be testament to this as well, because I know there was an engagement in Katie recently, and that you were very involved in that. So just to say that information workshops have been held out in the rural localities that can apply for this grant, and that a virtual workshop is being held in rural settings across the borough as well, to try to raise awareness of the scheme. We're using all of our networks, all of our colleagues, to get the message out there. Anyone within, for example, estates teams, tourism, arts and culture, we're getting the message out there as best that we can to let them know that this opportunity exists. So we're hopeful that we have done enough to make sure that as many people from the borough get the opportunity to apply for this exciting programme.
Thank you, Nicola. Alderman Spears, you looking back in?
Yes, I'm by and large happy enough from that. If that has been followed up, I appreciate the answer that Nicola has given. I understand that. But I think there's probably some properties and some shops within the area that possibly not necessarily will avail of this. Equally, there are others that may not, but maybe need to, put it that way. And I think I would like some maybe targeted activity in relation to those, and a full explanation of the potential of this opportunity, put it that way. Thank you.
Alderman Spears. Do you want to come back again, Nicola, or will I let Councillor Nicholson in first?
It's up to you. Of course, we'll go and do whatever.
Go ahead then.
Oh,
go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, of course, we'll make sure that we contact as many people as we can to make sure we have targeted support in place to encourage as many businesses to come forward to avail of this great opportunity.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Thanks, Nicola. And yeah, I can back Nicola up because I know people was at the event in Katie. I know there's other ones planned for Market Hill and Tandragee and things towards in the coming days. So, but Nicola, from memory in relation to this project, was there three larger projects, one to happen in Market Hill, one to happen in Rathfriland, and one to happen in Warringstown? Or was it Guildford? Yeah. Is this part of this, or was it three for some reason in my head 500k or something that was to be spent in each of those areas, or is that all sort of in the mix in this project, which is between 3 and 20k? Just for clarification, so if I'm speaking to anybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Nicola?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, this is part of a combined funding package of £3.5 million secured from the three departments, Department for Communities, DERA and the Department for Infrastructure. And you're absolutely right. It is about those three areas that members identified to get public realm works up to the value of about £500,000. And then the other aspects of this were shopfront grants, and there were improvements in cycleways and our infrastructure as well. But it was 3.5 million, so it is a combined package. But as you can appreciate, not everything moves at the same pace. The public realm requires us to go through quite a lengthy process for procurement to make sure that we meet all the central government gateways that they have, and it may take longer to get on the ground, but we wanted to move on ahead as quickly as we could and max out the bits that really will make a difference to businesses, for future trading.
Thank you, Nicola. Councillor Nicholson?
Yeah, look, thanks, Sharon, and thanks, Nicola. And I suppose, Nicola, yeah, that was the ones I was referring to, the 500k for each of the three places was a public realm. So if we give an update where that is, but obviously it does refer to different strands. So I suppose to not prolong this, if we get a bit more detail in the report, maybe come back next month just to give us a wee bit more detail, just so it clarifies all those wee small anomalies, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Nicola will make out a report for next month. That's great. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move on then to item 5 on the agenda, Head of Tourism, Arts and Culture Report. Item 5.1 is a decision item. Over to
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, members. This report relates to a letter of offer from Department for Communities. So members may be aware that the Department for Communities funded a pilot scheme to remove shutters and install new facades in 4 properties in Armagh between 2019 and 2021. This scheme involved the removal of shutters from 4 properties within the conservation area and their replacement with new traditional hardwood shop fronts complete with security glazing. And again, that was a pilot scheme at the time. And you'll see from the report that 3 of these 4 properties now, there is residential units above the commercial premises, and in Armagh there aren't an awful lot of commercial or residential sort of properties above the shop, so this was seen as a success. So officers have been engaged with officials for the Department for Communities over the last number of months with regard to a further rollout of the scheme, and we have received a contract in that regard. I'd like to commend the work of Shane Kelland in this regard, who's here this evening for any further questions. So the recommendation before members is it's recommended that members accept contract for funding for the Department for Communities to the value of £360,000. This is at 100% funding as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Brian. Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, look, thanks, Chairman. Thanks, Brian. And the first thing, I suppose, I declare an interest as part of the Townscape Heritage Initiative, and obviously a peculiar interest in that I'm an architect in a number of the schemes, but I suppose taking this in what it was, I have to say Brian's right. The schemes that were done carried out within the conservation area in Dublin Street and English Street were a great success and really did add to the those areas of the city. And I think when the THI schemes, continue to be completed, that will further add to the urban environment of the conservation area. So look, additional funding to do another 6 properties is welcome in my eyes, and should be another great addition to our Armagh city. So Chairman, I'm happy to propose we accept the recommendation, but Brian, do you have any detail of where the individual properties are at this stage, or is it yet to be determined? And if it is to be determined, how are we addressing that? I see Shane moving, so maybe he has a bit of detail on that. But thank you, Chairman. Happy to propose.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Just before I let Brian back in again, you've declared an interest, so it would probably be better if you didn't propose it. Okay. Okay. Or Shane?
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Councillor Nicholson. Yeah, the properties have been identified. They're all in Upper English Street, which is, as you'll be aware, is one of our zones within the Townscape Heritage Scheme. They go from 14 right up to 20 Upper English Street, and then 28 and 30 Upper English Street are the 6 properties in question.
Thank you, Shane. Councillor Pope.
Thank you. Chair, I know it was just also to declare an interest, being also a member of the Armagh City Heritage Partnership, and obviously I welcome this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pope. Alderman Spears.
Well, I'm not a member of it, so I'm in a position to make the proposal that we accept this report. I certainly welcome it, and I know the work that has happened in other parts of the city. So I sort of very much in favour of it, and I welcome this. And I propose that we adopt the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Spears. Councillor Macaulay.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. No, I'm happy enough to second that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Councillor O'Hanlon.
Chair, just to declare non-pecuniary interest as a board member with the Townscape Heritage Project Board.
Okay, thank you. So we've had a proposer and seconder. Item 5.2, 5.3 are for information. If there's no questions, I'd just like to put on record my thanks to the officer team for the Banbridge steering committee that meets once a month. There's a lot of hard work has gone into it, and I would just like to put it on record. Our thanks to the officer team. Thank you. Alderman Spears.
Chair, it's just a question really. There is a small booklet that is, I think it's handed out with most of the provincial papers on a periodic basis. I think maybe about 3 of them I have got in the last few months. And they give a detail of the offering of tourism in various parts of the province. This is done by the Northern Ireland Tourist Board. And I pay particular attention to it, and I'm not sure how they assess their information or how they develop it or who does it or whatever. But the most recent one, I think, to the best of my knowledge, there was 2 mentions of Armagh. One mentioned the City Hotel, and I think the other one was the Navan Centre. And I can understand both. But I just wonder is there an opportunity for council to feed into that via the Tourist Board, or it's a Tourist Board publication? And I was slightly disappointed that maybe about somewhere maybe in the region of maybe 100 or somewhere near there facilities mentioned, and some areas get a better mention than others, put it that way.
Thank you.
That's my question.
You, Alderman Spears, who wants to take it? Brian, okay.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alderman Spears, for the question. I'm happy to follow that up and find out. We do meet monthly with the Tourist Board on a marketing platform, and we do provide all the information and all the facilities across A, B, and C. So I'll find out the rationale and how that's pulled together and come back on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Councillor O'Hanlon.
So, Chair, just in relation to that publication, which Alderman Spears refers to, I think that might be a private sector publication by the Alpha newspaper group, but maybe Brian will check that out.
Thank you. Councillor Nicholson.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Thanks, Brian. Brian, look, item 5.2, the tourism and hospitality sector support update. Very welcome. And as Ian says, there's been a lot of things going on to help tourism and the hospitality, sector following COVID. Now, we're all aware of and it's been on the radio and the television day and daily about the pressures on hospitality and tourism at the minute with inflation and energy costs. Can you just give us a wee bit of an update of what engagement has been going on through yourselves with them? There's not a lot we can help them with. It's everybody's facing these problems, but if there's anything we can do within the council to help these people over these times, I know there has been caps put onto electricity bills and things like that there, and there is other. But I'm just wondering, is regional government going to give any? There's been no real sort of confirmation of support for these guys, because it does seem to be, the stories are that these guys are going to maybe not be here at the end of this if there isn't something. So have you any sort of, you can give us an update of where your engagement is, because obviously you're speaking to these people day and daily, and what the sort of the general sort of feeling is out there, and if there's anything that we can do to assist them, lobby, etc. in any form, be the government regionally, although it probably waste of time at the minute. But as I say, if there's anything we can do, I think there's, if I have to write to the Secretary of State, Chairman, it's maybe we're only out at the minute, but just we sort of where things are, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Brian.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Nicholson. You're right. Obviously, this is the perfect storm at the minute for tourism and hospitality businesses, between energy costs. And if you go back to a few meetings previous to this, it was the staffing issues, which again are very prevalent at the minute. So I would say since the start of COVID, tourism has been much better structured in Northern Ireland. Between the tourists, there's better integration between the Tourist Board, the local authorities in particular. We are members of the Northern Ireland Tourism Alliance, who are the body that represents industry across Northern Ireland, and we've had Joanne in to present to this committee before in terms of the work she's doing. So what our approach, and it's similar to what Nicola will do in the economic development side, it's very much we're out day and daily talking to businesses. So some of our team are engaged daily. There's weekly e-zines going out. So our role is to amalgamate all the different supports that are out there and bring it together into one easy to read e-zine every week, and then follow up on that. So if anyone's any particular areas of help that they require, we will follow up on that. So it's very much, we're listening in terms of what businesses need. And we know, there's some very, very obvious things. And then it's feeding that up the line into the Tourism Alliance, who sit at the top table in Northern Ireland in tourism terms and are talking to government as well. So we're doing all of that, and we're constantly sifting to find any schemes that are out there to help. And again, our team's going out and helping with application forms for various initiatives and everything. So we're doing everything we can at the minute. And being as responsive as we can. It was discussed at the previous meeting in terms of that, working with people like the college around training initiatives and so forth, and even working very closely with economic development on the labour market partnerships, which is just getting onto its feet. But there's a hospitality stream in that as well. So working with Sarah Jane and Nicola in that regard. So we have joined everything up as closely as we can, and we're very much in response mode. So on the back of the tourism conference, there were 8 individual businesses that we went to see after that with specific calls and needs. So we have 8 of those, and finally the last of those 8 was today. One of the other things that we've been asked to do, again, in terms of better integrating the tourism sector locally, has been better linking in with Game of Thrones. So we have an industry day planned. We're aiming for about 40 to 50 trade, sort of in a meet the supplier type event at Game of Thrones, to make sure we're keeping as much of the economic wealth within the borough. So we are completely alive to the needs and working as hard as we can and being as completely in response mode. So we're being directed by businesses, but again, that information is being fed up the line, just to give you that assurance. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Councillor Nicholson, you want to come in again?
Just briefly, Chairman. Yeah, look, I welcome that, and obviously I welcome what Brian's just said, and it is so important at the minute, because there has been so many in hospitality and tourism. There's been so many businesses built up. It would be a shame to see that disappear. And you're right, the skills was a big thing, but I think now it's about energy costs. But I think maybe with the cap on electricity will go a long way to help. And obviously Firmus Energy have announced a reduction as well. So look, it's maybe getting a wee bit better, but look, anyway, I encourage you to continue to do that, Brian. And as I say, it's very welcome what you've brought to the committee tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nicholson. Councillor Macaulay.
Thank you, Chair. It was just really a comment. I really do echo Councillor Nicholson's comments there. I welcome that work, Brian, on that. It was just really on a footnote on the tourism conference. Just well done to everybody involved in that, attending it, and speaking to a few of the delegates afterwards. They were very pleased at how it went and are very keen to see, proper engagement and communication and networking going forward, particularly as we do sort of come out of the COVID challenges as well, and the skill shortages and rising costs aren't lost on me as well, because we do have a lot of local businesses that are struggling, and they just need that wee bit of a helping hand and a listening ear as well. So it was a great event, and I hope to see a lot more of the events going forward as well, particularly on the back of the Northern Ireland Tourism Awards that were maybe last month. I think Roger was at it and stuff. So it was a very good night, and it was great to see a few of the finalists and shortlisted businesses from the borough as well. So I hope next year that we'll see a lot more of those from BC as well. So I've been encouraging all our local tourism businesses to get involved in that and raise their profile and make sure they're on the map of Northern Ireland tourism as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Macaulay. Yes, it was a very good event this year in lovely surroundings of Ellenfield Castle in Guildford. Councillor O'Hanlon.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. And I suppose just follow up on Councillor Nicholson's comments, and I'm glad to hear of the collaboration that's going across the tourism and economic development sector. I think it would be useful maybe that if members were included in that meal shot on a weekly basis, because I suppose whenever we were in through COVID and those sort of support packages and stuff that was going forward, that we were constantly kept updated with them, and then if members of the business community approached us, we know where to direct people. So that's the only thing I'd add to it. But look, keep up the good work.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hanlon. Okay, can I have a proposer and a seconder? We go into committee for consideration of confidential items of business. Proposed by Councillor Nicholson, seconded by Councillor Alderman Moutray. Members and online viewers, in accordance with the Schedule 6 of the Local Government Act, we will now be moving into confidential session of council. This means it will be turned off the public feed of the meeting. This will be returned when the meeting is restarted. Can I ask ICT officers to please turn off the feed and confirm with me when the confidential section of this meeting can proceed? Okay, thank you very much. So there's no other business, only that I would like to put on record my thanks to Lisa O'Malley for she organised recently a fact-finding trip to the south of England for the agri-food and agri-tech. And I believe there's going to be a workshop. Everything went really smoothly. We met quite a number of people when we were over there. It was 2 full-on days. And we have had a lot of encouragement from those we met, and they're quite happy to work along with us to try and iron out any hiccups that we may come to that they faced, and hopefully we'll not face them. And then there's going to be a workshop, I think it's December, is it? Okay. Well, if there's no other business, thank you all for attending, and good night. See you at home. Okay.